Your first witness?
We call Christi Dembrowski.
Kristen Dembrowski? All right, Kristen Dembrowski.
Good afternoon, Ms. Dembrowski. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Alisa Christine Dembrowski.
Ms. Dembrowski, what relationship, if any, do you have with Johnny Depp?
He's my younger brother.
Ms. Dembrowski, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your and Johnny's childhood. What was Johnny like as a young boy?
Objection, Your Honor, 404.
Character evidence.
Approach.
So they have to be very careful. They cannot raise Johnny's good character. So this is the objection. They don't want her to say, oh, he was such a nice little boy. Good thing. Of course, that would allow them to impeach his good character at the same time, but they're going to object to it and not really allow that character evidence to come in. Or they're going to ask the judge not to allow it, of course.
I'm waiting for the cross where they're like, he karate kicked you? Does that mean he was violent? You know.
So he has a habit and a history of kicking women then.
Exactly.
Ms. Dembrowski, how would you describe your parents' relationship?
They can't have him
That
be
was
nice,
complicated.
ever.
Would you please explain to the jury what you mean when you say your parents' relationship was complicated?
Our parents they had two completely different personalities, and where our father was also a very kind, patient, loving, gentle man. And our mom was the opposite. She was very high-strung, very nervous, anxiety, angry. So they were completely opposite people.
Did your mother, Betty, ever get angry with your father?
Yes,
Did your mother ever get physical with you?
yes.
Ms. Dembrowski, when your mother did get physical with you, what forms did that take?
Well, she would hit us. She would throw things. She would have us go pick a switch, off of a tree, so that would be what she could hit us with, and make sure that we got one that was nice and green. So
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Why did it have to be nice and green?
well,
So it didn't break.
if it wasn't a nice green twig, it would snap. Those didn't break. If you got a dry one, they snap. They don't work the same.
Did your mother ever get angry at Johnny?
Yes,
Did you ever observe your mother hitting Johnny?
Did
yes.
she ever poop in his bed?
Oh, come on now.
How, if at all, did Johnny react when his mother would hit him?
He was a typical little boy where if it hurt, he would cry. That was it. I mean, for the most part, you just wanted to get away from it.
Did Johnny ever hit his mother back?
No,
What about when he got to be an older boy? Did he ever resist or hit her
No.
back?
no. When he was older, even if she hit or threw things, he never went to that place. He would get away. He would, leave the area, go to his room.
How did, if at all, did your experience with your mother affect your ideas about what you intended to do with your own family?
None of what was happening in our home felt good. And so as I got older, both Johnny and I actually, we decided that once we had our own home, that we were never going to repeat ever anything similar in any way to our childhood. We were gonna do it different.
So Johnny felt the same way.
Absolutely.
Did you ever live with your mother again after you and Johnny had left the house?
I did live with her briefly. She had gotten diagnosed with asthma when we lived in Florida. She needed to move to a drier climate. So Johnny moved her to California, to Palm Springs for the drier weather. And I moved also so that she wouldn't be alone.
He's a good man.
If you
Still
could
took
just
care of her.
please elaborate on what role, if any, Johnny played in your mother's move to Palm Springs.
He was the only reason the move could happen. He purchased her a home and paid to have everything moved out there.
This
What
is
her
setting
health
up
condition
why
was
Johnny
as of
Depp doesn't
2011.
leave the abusive relationship,
In
that he's capable of
2011,
loving someone who abuses him, that he's passive in
she was
the
living in Kentucky
and accepting
and
of the
we,
abuse.
Received a call
He doesn't
that she
fight
had been
back.
diagnosed
Yeah.
with,
He's the battered man.
Did there come a time when you worked in the entertainment industry?
Yes, I got a job at one of the studios in Los Angeles.
Which studio was that?
It was Columbia Pictures. I was, my title was, I was an executive assistant to the executive vice president of comedy development.
So after you wrapped up the transition, the closing up of the department, what did you do in terms of your work life?
I went to work with my brother.
Did there come a time when you learned that Johnny and Amber were romantically involved?
Amber
Yes.
Heard is just staring at the camera.
When was
lens.
that?
Why
I
is she
don't
looking at
recall
the
exactly.
camera?
I know it was sometime after the Rum Diary premiere.
To what extent did you have occasion to observe Johnny and Miss Heard together early in their relationship?
There were times when she would come and you know,
She wants to shit on my bed.
visit our mom, you know. I would see her then, I would see the two of them then. I didn't really spend a tremendous amount of time with her.
Had you formed any impression of Miss Heard at that time based on your observations?
I did. I did. Look, I didn't know her very well. And I would spend time, like I said, she would come to my mom's house. I've sat with her and my mom.
Check on 404.
What?
What was your impression of Amber?
Based on her observation, she's describing what she observed, Your Honor.
Doesn't matter.
This
I
is
don't
not
think that's
404.
right, Your Honor. I think she's describing what she observed.
We want to approach for a moment. Let's start.
Yeah. Okay. So again, this is the character and prior acts evidence that they're trying to exclude, but it's not just any like evidence of someone's character. It's if the character is being asserted to this, but observations about people's behavior is allowed. What did you see? What did she do? Did you talk to her? What happened? Also, since Amber Heard is an opposing party, she can admit statements against Amber Heard because they're opposed to her interests. So it's not hearsay there.
Did there come a time when your brother and Miss Heard started to live together?
Yes.
What type of travel arrangements
I
did
hadn't
you
heard
make
agreement.
for the two of them when they traveled together?
We would get a private plane that took them to whatever the destination was, and make sure that we had, the hotel accommodations taken care of. Part of what we did was to always make sure that we anticipated, everything. So we would do the travel, the hotels, cars, drivers. I would make sure that there was an extra hotel room.
Why did you make sure there was an extra hotel room when Johnny and Miss Heard went on trips together?
I booked the extra hotel rooms because if Johnny was at home or anywhere like that, he was able to, if they argued, he was able to leave the room, leave the argument, and go like he's always done and hide in a different room to get away from it. When
He
they were
had to book
traveling
2 hotel
for,
rooms because she's such a
the
bitch.
different
That's
reasons.
amazing.
That's jacked up, man.
and we booked the hotel rooms, I wanted to make sure that there was an extra room because it wasn't unusual, for them to have an argument. So I wanted to make sure that there was an extra room.
Did
For
your
him to
brother
live.
ever have occasion to use that extra room that you booked for him?
Yes.
Objection, foundation.
All right. I'll sustain his foundation if you want to lay a foundation.
I think the foundation was she made all of the travel. Well, I can actually lay it through some
Okay.
other questions as
Okay.
well. She was personal manager. Whose idea was it?
They're
to
very
book
scared of her
an
testimony.
extra room for your brother when he traveled?
It was my idea.
And
It-
why did you do that?
It was my idea because, I saw a repeat happening in life when we were kids
Shit.
and
Oh man.
'Cause
arguments
I
and fighting
observed
would
it.
start
The
to
thing you
happen.
objected
Our
to
first
earlier,
thing
I
was to
watched
go
it
and
happen in real
hide and,
time.
get away from it. And since I recognized what felt to be a pattern that was a repeat pattern from his childhood. I wanted to make sure that there was a place that he could do just that.
Mr. Chu, the question was, did Mr. Depp ever use the extra room? And the objection was foundation. So if you want to lay a foundation of how she would have known that he used an extra room.
Yeah, but he
it's
just
not
got
based on
that
hearsay.
snuck in there.
That's the issue.
And I move to strike that. It's not.
All right, I'll strike that. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Strike it. Yeah, the jury didn't hear it though.
Yeah, I know. Let's
Ever
pretend.
book an extra, did you book your brother's hotel accommodations during the 14 years when he was with Vanessa Paradis?
Yes,
Did you ever book an extra room when he was with her?
Objection leading.
no,
Overall, I'll allow that one. Go ahead.
It's not a
If
leading
you could
question.
repeat it, I don't think the jury heard that.
I'm sorry. No, I did not.
Did you ever hear your brother and Miss Heard argue?
Objection calls for hearsay. Also,
Oh, I'll overrule that.
That's not hearsay.
So you may answer that.
No,
Did you ever see or hear any physical altercation between your brother and Miss Heard?
no.
What can you tell us about what you did observe of your brother and Miss Heard together?
What, to me, he was always trying to make sure, he was always trying to make her happy. He always made effort to sort of make her happy. She has a very strong personality, and my brother's personality came off much more soft at that point.
Did you observe any occasions in which Miss Heard was nice to your brother?
Yes, I've seen her be nice to him.
Would you please explain that?
Why are you asking this
I-
question?
When she would hit him, she would
I've seen her
sometimes
be
stop.
nice and offering to, bring him a drink or,
Notice they're not objecting. Maybe this is the whole point. They're not objecting to
Give
nice
him
stuff about Amber Heard.
whatever. I mean,
She
just
left him
difficult,
chocolates on his
difficult,
pillows.
Nice.
God, if his
I've
sister
seen
said
that.
something like that, that'd be amazing.
Have you witnessed any occasions on which Miss Heard wasn't nice to your brother?
I have actually.
Would
I
you
have.
please describe those to the jury?
Yeah. On one occasion, because this one really stayed with me. On one occasion, Amber had come in and asked if she was interrupting us, and but Johnny told Amber that I had just had a meeting with Dior, and that they were interested in him. Her reaction to that was she was in disbelief and sort of disgust because she said, Dior, why would Dior want to do business with you? They're about class and they're about style. And you don't have style. So it was a
Damn, what a monster.
insulting kind of taking away that one moment, that insult is there.
You can't object to that as hearsay
I've
because
seen-
it was said
I've seen
by
the
Amber
insults.
Heard.
What, if anything, did you hear Miss Heard say about Mr. Depp's physical appearance?
She called him an old fat man.
Rip.
Did there come a time when you learned that Johnny was going to marry Miss Heard?
Yes.
And this is a little complicated, so I'm just going to ask you in a narrative form. What was your reaction upon hearing from your brother that he was going to marry Miss Heard?
I was scared. I was devastated, actually, that it was going to happen as quickly as it was being pushed for. I actually tried to talk him into just waiting a little bit longer, just a little bit, and not rushing.
She tried to save you, Johnny.
Don't marry her.
Why
I
did
know
you
you've been
want
dating her for
to
3 or 4
wait a little
years,
bit
but don't marry her.
Now, Ms. Dembrowski, I'd like to shift gears again and ask you about the period in April and May of 2016. How often, if at all, did you visit your mother in April 2016?
She was in the hospital, so I was with her pretty much every day. I was a 24/7 when I wasn't, at the office or something.
What happened the next day, May 20th, 2016?
Well, mom passed away that morning. We had all the family was there. Johnny was there with his kids until the wee morning hours of May 20th. My kids, my sister, we were all there spending our last bits of time, and everybody else had gone home. Mom passed away probably a few hours after that, maybe 5-6 hours.
And did you check on Johnny Saturday morning, the 21st?
Yes, I went to see him because we had talked about maybe he would also go to the funeral home. When I got there, he seemed upset because he and Amber had been fighting.
What else happened when you first met with your brother on the morning of the 21st when you were talking about going to the funeral home?
I went to go see if he was going to go with us. I got there, he was upset. Excuse me, because they were fighting. I got upset because of the day that was chosen to fight.
Why were you upset about their fighting on that day in particular?
We had just lost our mom the day before. I feel like that, there might be the need for a little compassion, no fighting on that day.
How did you react initially when you heard from Mr. Depp's attorney that Ms. Heard had filed for divorce?
I mean, I think understandably, the timing of this, it really made me feel ill. It made me sad, frustrated. I can't even find the word to describe how I felt when I heard that the divorce was filed the day after, while I'm at the funeral home.
You didn't think
Wow.
the timing of Ms. Heard's filing was appropriate?
I did not. I thought it was. I thought.
Now, see, that was a leading
might have
question.
been able to wait.
A little bit.
Did there come a time when you learned that Ms. Heard had also filed for a restraining order against Johnny?
Yes. I think I heard that also from the attorney. I believe the day before. She was. I think it was a Thursday. I think I learned that one.
So this was 2 days after your brother had left for New York?
Yes, because I was shocked at that. I was shocked at that, and concerned that he was out of town and didn't know if he needed to be there. He was gone, and I was asking the attorney, and they said, no, he doesn't have to be there. No one has to be there. Amber won't be there. No one will be there. Just attorneys. It's a very simple process.
Did Johnny attend the restraining order hearing?
No, he was not in town. He wasn't in the country.
Did you see any press coverage of the restraining order hearing?
Yes, I did.
Did you see Ms. Heard's Washington Post op-ed when it was published in December 18, 2018?
Yes.
What did you think Ms. Heard's op-ed was about?
Relevance.
It's entirely
Oh,
relevant.
no, this is
They're-
entirely
They're
relevant.
trying to argue somehow that people
had
didn't
nothing to do with
understand
Johnny Depp.
what the op-ed meant. We heard an opening where there was,
I want you to approach
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
please.
100% relevant. Did you understand the article to be about Johnny Depp? That's the whole point. Could you identify? Because their entire defense to this is that she didn't name Johnny Depp. Oh, she didn't name him. She didn't name him.
Mhm.
When you saw that article, what did it tell you? Who is it about? What did it say? Because really, the defamation is any third party. Defamation can be his sister. His sister hearing lies about Johnny Depp. Did that defame him? Yes.
In fact, in the defense's opening, they talked about context. So she took the context of what Amber Heard wrote to be referencing Johnny Depp, not some random person, when she talks about,
Yep.
abuse in a relationship.
Let's see what the judge, where his Looks like he lost on that. Oh my God.
How do you
How
lose
do
on
you-
this?
How do you lose on the relevance of this
Ms.
issue?
Dembrowski, have you had any discussions with your brother about the op-ed?
Yes. I,
Object to anything.
Good God.
I'm not
They-
sure if
they
it is or
can't-
not.
It's a yes or no question.
Okay, all right, next question.
They're not going to let anything through on this if possible. It is very damaging to have this article
As-
be about Johnny Depp.
Mr. Depp's
It's a
brother,
critical element to the case.
and as his personal manager, do you have any understanding how the publication of the op-ed has affected your brother's career?
Gonna object. But
Objection, foundation, Your Honor, and hearsay.
how did this? This is personal manager.
That's his manager.
That,
I mean,
that's,
how?
that's fine.
But she's worked with her brother for
I'll
several
allow that,
decades.
but let's see where the answer goes.
I'm sorry, would you mind asking it again?
This guy's not good at repeating his questions.
Do you have an understanding of how the publication of the op-ed has affected your brother's career?
Yes, the way it was written, the wordings within the op-ed make it very clear of a time frame.
Objection, Your Honor.
Get the director to answer that question again. Maybe you should ask it again.
How has the publication of Ms. Heard's op-ed, putting aside for a moment
Don't
its
say putting aside
relationship
the.
to your brother, its references to your brother, how has it affected his career?
I believe there's a negative effect on anyone's career when there's accusations, as there have been.
How has it affected him personally?
I know he doesn't want people to feel that that he could ever be that type of person, which he isn't. And to know that actually that is something that is attached to him now, which trickles down to his children, where I think that part more than anything is the part that has bothered him, the fact that his children have to, have this in their life.
Are you aware of any occasion on which any woman other than Ms. Heard has ever accused your brother of any type of physical abuse?
Objection, foundation, hearsay.
Are
I'll
you
allow the answer.
aware is a foundational
No.
question? I object to the foundation of the question, attempting to establish foundation.
How has Ms. Heard's op-ed impacted your life?
Objection, relevance.
Relevance.
What's the relevance?
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I
Okay,
have right now.
all right, I'll
Yeah.
withdraw on question. Okay, all right.
Bad question. there.
Cross-examination?
That was overall not bad on direct, but there near the end got kind of weird. But I live
Good
for
afternoon,
Cross.
Ms. Dembrowski.
Man, I love Cross. He's gonna shred her.
So I believe we covered some of this, but just want to make sure. So you're employed at a company your brother owns, right?
Yes,
It's called Infinitum Nile.
yes,
Is that right? And it's Mr. Depp's production company.
yes,
And you're the president of that company, right?
yes.
And that is your only source of income, correct?
I have other projects that I work on the side.
It's your only job, right?
It's my full-time job, yes.
Now, you have a huge financial interest in your brother's career, right?
No, I want it to go
I
bankrupt.
have a salary that I get, so that's not a financial interest, if you're asking if I get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
No,
You wouldn't consider salary financial interest. Is that your
I
testimony?
consider it a salary, yes, but it sounds like you're asking something different. I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah. So the bottom line
He
is you
is.
draw a salary from
Yes.
Infinitum Nile.
Yes,
He's
employed
trying
by
to
his brother.
make it sound like you own
Yes.
stock in the company.
Yeah.
Now, you feel protective of your younger brother, always have, right?
yes,
And you testified earlier today about Mr. Depp's reactions to some of your mother's anger growing up.
Mhm.
When Mr. Depp would leave as a child during the times when your mother was angry at him, was he addicted to drugs back then?
no,
Was he addicted to alcohol?
no.
Can you remind me, you said you saw your brother the morning of May 21st?
I stopped by there at some point in the daytime, in the early part of the day.
And you testified that when you stopped by there for the first time that day that you were upset because it seemed like he and Amber had been fighting. Is that what you said?
I said that they had been arguing. And I've said that I didn't love that they were arguing on. It was a horrible day to argue on.
And that was your testimony was that you were upset that they had been arguing when you stopped by that during the daytime, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever become aware that they hadn't actually seen each other or communicated at all before he came over at 8 p.m. on May 21st?
Foundation.
Finally.
She's testified that she said that they were fighting earlier in the day. I'm asking her if she ever became aware that they hadn't actually seen each other or talked that day.
I'll allow the question. Just go ahead.
I'll ask it again. Did you ever become aware that Amber and Mr. Depp hadn't seen each other or talked that day before he came to the Eastern Columbia building the evening of May 21st?
No, I just know that what I understood was that they had a fight, whether it was over the phone or I don't know. They were arguing.
During the time that Amber and Johnny were together, you became aware that he was using drugs and alcohol excessively, correct?
Yep. That was not indirect.
Your Honor, she's testified to what she observed during their relationship. I think it's within
No,
scope.
you said she didn't know any of
Yeah.
this shit.
This is not Ohio. You can't do that.
No, I'll rule the objection. You can ask the question.
Jesus.
What? Yeah, we're using Ohio rules of evidence now. Jesus.
Did you want to ask the question again?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
During the time that Amber and Johnny were dating, did you become aware that he was using drugs or alcohol excessively?
I became aware that he had been drinking, and during the time they were dating, I became aware of at one point, a certain medication. Yes.
And you
I don't think the judge is biased. I
formed the
think the
opinion
judge
that
just wants to hear
not
the
only had he
story.
been drinking, but that he was drinking excessively, correct?
I don't know that I formed excessively, but he was drinking.
You became aware that he was using booze, right?
I knew he
Using
was drinking.
booze?
And you knew he was using cocaine,
Using that
right?
booze.
I never saw him do that, so
You became aware that he was using cocaine, correct?
I never saw him use anything like that. I became aware of people saying that.
And you
Objection
became
calls
so
for
concerned
hearsay.
about that you told your brother to stop using cocaine, correct?
That
I
was a long pause.
don't know that I remember telling him to stop using cocaine. I think I might have told him anything that he was doing, he should stop doing.
Heather, can you pull up?
So she didn't know if it was cocaine or some other drug?
I think she's trying to say, like, if you're doing anything, quit doing it. But I don't know. I've just heard. Is maybe what she's trying to phrase it. Quit riding the white stallion, Johnny. It's not good for you.
She may have answered this question in deposition differently, but they had kept the drug use out of direct pretty well. Really think this should have been beyond the scope, but I mean, it's inevitable. They're going to hit the drug use on
Yeah.
some witnesses, as
Yeah,
many as
talk
they
about-
possibly can.
Once they talk about the fighting, his drug use could be behind the fighting. So
Yeah, it's all coming in now or later.
If you look in the from column, there's a name that says Christi Dembrowski and it has a number. Is that your number?
Yes.
And are those texts from you to your brother, Johnny Depp?
Yes.
And those texts were sent on or about February 5th, 2014?
Yes. Can I just say something?
No,
though?
just wait, ma'am. Just wait for a
I'm
question.
You'll get
Yes,
it
sir.
on redirect. She
I just
wants
wanna
to
say-
say something to mitigate that text message that's going to come up talking about his cocaine use.
Yeah. She's going to say, I didn't have to tell him to stop. I just quit getting it for him.
Do you see that these, you just testified these were text messages between you and Mr. Depp, right? And do you see that these text messages were sent on February 5th, 2014?
Yes.
The bottom three? And those bottom three, you just looked at when we saw the whole page, and I know
This
it's a
is-
little cumbersome
that's
for the jury to not
revelatory.
seeing that, but You testified that the bottom three were text messages from you to your brother, right?
Yes.
Heather, could you just scroll to the right,
She sent 3 text messages in 1 second.
please? So on February 5th, 2014, you sent 3 texts to your brother. You sent one that said, stop drinking, right?
Mhm.
You said one that said, stop Coke, right?
Yes.
So I assume you weren't talking about the soft drink, right?
No, I was.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be.
You were talking
It's like-
about cocaine, correct?
I was
No,
telling him
you
to
should have
stop.
gone with the Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Coke's the name of his hairdresser.
I
told him
don't
to
know
stop
what
that guy.
these are in reference to, so I remember they brought this up at my deposition, and these are something that I don't know I don't know if there's more context to them. I don't know what they're in reference to. I know what they say, but I don't know what they're in reference to.
And what they say is that
It's
on
actually not a bad
February 5th,
answer.
2014, you were telling your brother, Johnny Depp, to stop using cocaine, correct?
No, I wrote those words, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know that I was telling him to stop doing that. In context, it would be different. It could be a different scenario.
You weren't joking when you wrote that, right? It wasn't a joke.
I don't
right?
know.
I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
probably
Objection
was
asked
not
and
joking, but maybe I was repeating something that someone else told me to write.
Would it refresh your recollection perhaps to see other text messages that you sent on or around this time to determine whether or not you were worried about Mr. Depp?
Why wouldn't you have done this earlier? Come on.
He's not
Because
a
they
yes.
wanted to build
If
up
there's
to
other
this big
context, I
reveal.
guess, I don't know.
Why don't we do
Yeah.
this? Heather, can you please pull up?
If there's other texts
exhibit,
that are going to make the
exhibit
context clear,
2,
he's about to ruin her.
10.
Maybe.
If
This
I
could
was
be a
defense
mouse
counsel,
fart, though.
It could be.
yeah. If I was defense counsel, I would talk about what movies he was in February 2014, sort of give her like a time frame because she's so involved with his career that might jar her memory as to what his life was about at that time.
I think nailing her with the text is going to be better if you can.
I agree, but it's
That's if you
Your
have
Honor, may I
something in the
approach?
text.
All right.
That text right before says, "I can't do this right now, Angel," which means he's probably responding to her saying, "Hey, you need to stop doing this, stop doing that. You need to get your life in order. You're on a downward spiral." I mean, I think she's about to get pilloried by the next set of texts.
I think he
Maybe.
would have brought that up already instead of asking.
Oh, I don't. I would drag it out and make her lie a whole bunch.
But
I don't know why I would send him these messages. Johnny, I'm sweeping the floor and there's an 8-pound pile of cocaine in my
Yes.
bathroom that I just had to flush down the toilet. I need you to stop.
hey, sis, I can't talk right now. Me and the hookers are about to finish it off.
They're trying to make him look bad, but at the same, all they can do is try and get an inference that because he was on a bender, that he was therefore also beating Amber Heard.
Yes.
That's why.
And destroying
ahead.
his career. What they want to lay off 2 things. They want to say that that article did not destroy his career. He already destroyed his career, while also saying that substance abuse equals domestic abuse.
I think a lot of times witnesses and even counsel get really wrapped up on how something is going to make someone look like they're really concerned about Johnny Depp's drug use making him look bad, but they need to just let it go. Like, because his drug use can't be in contention because everybody knows or everybody believes. The only thing would be is if you had every doctor come out and be like, no, we examined him daily and he's actually completely clean. It was all an act, which isn't going to happen. So everybody knows he's on drugs. The drugs doesn't mean he beats anybody. Lots of people take drugs and don't beat anyone. That's a thing. And so just let it stop trying. This lady looks bad because she's looking like she's trying to protect him from this cocaine admission, and she's getting tripped up on it. And it's like, did you tell him to stop doing coke? Yeah, sure. I was concerned about him. I don't even know if he was doing coke, but I wanted him to stop doing anything that he might have been doing because he wasn't acting right.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I was saying. It could be just quit doing whatever it is you're doing. I don't care what it is.
Which is actually what's implied by those text messages based on it's like she's reaching and guessing. I don't know if it's drinking, I don't know if it's coke, but some other pills. It's something you're acting weird. And it's
Yeah.
But they should have just done that. They should have just easily passed on and not made a big deal out of the coke thing. She brought these text messages on herself by not answering this question earlier. Because had she answered the question about did you tell him to stop doing cocaine? If she had said, Yeah, I didn't know if he was doing it, but I wanted him to stop anything. If she had done that earlier, and then they wouldn't be able to impeach her with this deposition stuff.
Ms. Dembrowski, do you recognize this document as a text message chain between you and Amber Heard on February 3rd, 2014?
Yes,
You write, "Where are the kids?" Why did you write that?
I don't
Yes,
know.
sir.
I don't know. I mean, I remember they asked me that at the deposition. I'm not sure.
You wrote that because you had concerns about where Mr. Depp's kids were at this time, right?
Objection.
Well, if she was saying he wasn't home, I was asking where the kids were.
Because you were concerned for the kids' well-being, particularly when Mr. Depp was in this sort of state, correct?
No, I was curious about where the kids were if he wasn't home.
Were you ever concerned about the impact on the kids of Mr. Depp's drug use and alcohol use?
No.
No,
So when you wrote, "Where are the kids?" you had no concern for their actual well-being.
What a
Objection,
dick
argumentative
question.
as fuck.
Yeah.
the concern, it's not that kind of concern. She's saying he's not home. I was wondering where the kids were so that they weren't alone.
This guy's, I mean, he's pretty good on cross, but the prosecutor or the plaintiffs are just letting him be good.
Yeah, they're
on
just
cross.
letting him just
Mm.
fuck 30.
I
plus
said he was
years.
going to shred her. They have no reason to have any sympathy for this woman at all.
Oh,
She's
no.
not like a sympathetic victim in a case or whatever. So
Yep.
you can get up and you can just tear her apart.
Do you remember earlier you testified about being present during the filming of a documentary about Keith Richards?
Yes,
This was right around that time frame, correct?
Oh, well, he had to be on all the
Do
drugs.
you recall when that was?
I don't recall the dates.
And actually, one thing I wanted to ask you about that while we're at it is you testified earlier about not seeing cuts or bruises on her face. You remember that? Or do you have no knowledge whether she was wearing makeup or not that night, right?
I don't recall if she was wearing makeup or not. She typically did not.
And you weren't specifically looking for cuts or bruises because you suspected that Mr. Depp had abused her, right?
But you have to get
I
out a
would have no
magnifying
reason to
glass,
look
see
for
a
cuts
cut
or
or a
bruises, but I would
bruise.
think if they were there, I would see them.
Because you would obviously see them.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp had a problem with drugs or alcohol?
No,
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp romanticized drug culture?
Romanticized
No.
drug culture.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp didn't take accountability for his actions?
I didn't have reason to believe that, no.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp lacked patience for getting his needs met?
I didn't have reason to believe that, no.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction? I'm asking if she had.
I overruled, I'll allow it. That's fine.
Let me ask that again.
Object to these being
Mr. Dembrowski,
argumentative.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
I
Overruled for this
actually-
question. We'll see at the follow-up. Okay.
I mean, she would have ruled that hearsay
I'm
yesterday.
sorry.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
I never had reason to believe that.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp had fundamental issues with anger?
Yeah, this man is just testifying to what he wants the jury to hear without any basis for these claims. He's just. Did you ever have any reason to believe that
So,
Johnny Depp was a pedophile?
so it was just like the opening yesterday from the old lady lawyer.
Yeah, you just go ahead and testify to what you want. Except this is doing it through a witness, so it's actually.
Reason to believe from someone other than Amber that your brother had fundamental issues with anger?
I didn't have reason to believe.
And did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that your brother didn't grasp the responsibility that he had in his children's lives?
I did not have reason to believe.
So there's a thing called litigation privilege, which is where parties in litigation get a little bit of free reign from defamation to kind of make their cases. And so it's amazing because that's one of the things this is part of the formula, the roadmap to a Me Too is when you get sued to make some escalated claims that you then get to say in court without the punishment of defamation, knowing that that'll get spread out if the case gets any traction. So that's a cute thing to do, right? Just
That's absolutely insane, man. Oh yeah. You know, I mean, the claims there. Whew. Yeah.
I didn't
hopefully.
mention this before while I was destroying their life actively, but now that they've sued me, well, then I'm going to bring out the real stuff.
Who was Dr. Kipper?
Dr. Kipper was the doctor that was helping my brother.
So not
helping
quite
my
clear if
brother
that made
get,
it in or not.
Help from the pain medication addiction that he had.
He was helping him with his drug addiction.
The pain medication.
And your brother was addicted to pain pills.
He had been taking them for a long time, yes.
Right. And you were instrumental in hiring Dr. Kipper to help your brother try to deal with that, right?
Yes.
And so Dr. Kipper, in his role as someone treating your brother, tried to keep you informed of what was going on with that treatment, right?
Yes.
And it was important to you as both his brother, his sister and his manager that you be kept informed of that, right?
It was important as his sister.
And well, and his issues with drugs were having an impact on his career as well, too, right?
No,
And you knew that they were having an impact on his relationship with Amber, right?
I knew that Amber claimed certain things.
But you didn't believe
Call her
that
a
they were.
liar.
I didn't necessarily believe it, no.
In addition to just Amber believing it, you believed that your brother needed help, didn't you?
Big.
You believed that your brother needed help with drugs and alcohol, didn't
Overruled
you?
it. Overruled the objection. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I believed on the one medication I was concerned about.
And you wanted your brother to get better from his addictions, right?
I wanted to address the medication that he was on.
And you understood that Amber wanted the same thing, wanted him to get better for both him and for her, correct?
I'll sustain as to what Amber wanted.
Now, do you recall meeting with Ms. Heard on May 25th, 2014?
I don't recall.
Ms. Dembrowski, this is a multi-page exhibit that we can, we're not going to ask you about all the pages, but is this a text message chain between Amber and you on May 25th, 2014?
Yes,
And those are your texts in gray on the left, right?
yes,
And Ms. Heard's texts in blue on the right?
yes.
If you can look at your third text down, Your Honor, or Ms. Dembrowski, you say to him, or to Ms. Heard, you say to Ms. Heard, I love him so much, but he needs help, and I don't have all the information to help alone. Do you see that?
I'll allow that question. That's fine.
I do see that.
And what did you mean when you said he needs help?
I don't recall the actual timing of it, but I wanted to help him with that medication that he was on. That I know. And I know that
Good answer.
I wanted to be able to be helpful in life because they were arguing all the time.
And I believe you testified earlier that you didn't actually have concerns about your brother's dependence on drugs, right?
No, I said that I did have about the medication.
Just the pain pills,
It was the pain pills.
nothing else?
I didn't have concern.
So when you said he needs help, that's what you were referring to, is that you believe that your brother needed help with pills. Ms. Dembrowski, do you see the message that you sent to Amber 3 down where you said he is going to see the doctor in the morning with 3 exclamation points?
Yes.
Tell me what you remember about that. Were you referring to, when you said he, you were referring to your brother, right?
I don't know.
Yes,
And by doctor, you meant an addiction doctor, is that right?
I believe I would have meant Dr. Kipper.
And what was, you'd agree that it's fairly rare to get an appointment for a doctor the next day, right?
What?
I'll
The-
allow it. That's fine.
I don't know that it's rare to get an appointment the next day.
Well, Dr. Kipper wasn't an emergency room doctor, right?
Probably not when you're Johnny Depp.
So
by the
what
way.
was so
Yeah.
urgent about your brother's need to see a doctor that he was going to see Dr. Kipper the next morning when you texted this at 7:35 p.m.?
I don't know that it was urgent. I think I was happy that he was going to see the doctor.
And you were happy he was going to see the doctor because you thought he'd finally realized the problem that his drug addiction was having on himself and others, correct?
No.
That's why you were happy, right?
I was happy he was going to see the doctor because I was concerned about the pain medication he was on.
And you were concerned about what that pain medication did to your brother, right?
Yes,
You were concerned about the effect that that had on his life, right?
I was concerned about him.
And you were concerned about the effect that that drug addiction had on other relationships in his life as well, correct?
I didn't see anything that was happening necessarily in life.
Yes,
to
he
be
is
concerned
leading.
about
This is
others.
cross-examination. You get to lead.
it
It's
was
how
him I
you
was
do
concerned about.
So
cross-examination.
you didn't see, your testimony today is that you didn't see any effect that your brother's drug problem was having on anyone else other than him.
My concern was him. I wasn't focused on anything beyond that.
Right. You weren't concerned about the effect that it could be having on anyone else. Is that your testimony?
Again, my concern was him.
You were concerned for your brother and your brother only. Is that right?
I was concerned for my brother, yes.
And only your brother. Is that right?
That my brother was my focus.
You, as in your capacity as his personal manager, you were often apprised of your brother's performance on movie sets, right? Did you have occasion to communicate with studios, for example, about movies that your brother was shooting?
Yes,
And studio executives could feel free to contact you about your brother's work?
yes, they mostly contacted the agent.
Okay. And who was the agent at the time? Was that Tracy
Tracy.
Jacobs? And you, in the course, in your capacity as his manager, it came to your attention that he was late to movie sets, correct?
Yeah,
Did you
try
have
that
personal
one.
knowledge of your brother being late to a set? Movie shoots?
No.
Would that be if I was physically there? Is that what you're asking? I don't think he came to me and said I'm late to movie shoots. No.
You learned from your brother that he was late to movie shoots, correct?
I don't think he would have come to me to talk about
I'll
it.
allow
No.
it.
You learned, so you never had any communications with your brother about issues that he had being on time to movie sets? Is that your testimony?
No, what I'm saying is I worked with him for years. You know, there was never really a continuous topic of whether he was late to a movie set, him and I having a conversation.
He told you he had been late to movie sets, correct?
He told you one time he was late to a movie set on one day, which means he's late to movie sets because of drugs. And you knew. And also the
sis.
children were in danger.
Hey, sis, I had trouble parking my car because of drugs. Yeah.
As personal manager, you knew that it was a problem for the studios if he showed up late to set, right?
No, not really.
I knew that on this particular film, there were times when he was late to set.
You did know on this particular
On
film,
this particular film,
and this particular film is Pirates 5, correct?
yes,
Pirates of the Caribbean 5? And he was filming that in Australia, right?
yes,
And this email was sent on February 27th, 2015, right?
yes,
So you knew that as he was filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5 in 2015, early 2015, that he had problems being late to the set, right?
I wouldn't call it problems being late to set, but he was occasionally late to set.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
You were involved in helping to cover up how the finger injury happened, right?
I I don't understand cover up.
You were involved in making sure that people on Mr. Depp's team didn't say how he hurt his hand, correct?
We certainly didn't want any press to know about it. So that's, to keep it from that.
And because you didn't want any press to know about his finger injury, you told Mr. Depp's personal assistant to make sure that he wasn't sure how Mr. Depp hurt his hand, correct? You instructed him to say that.
If it was someone that I would be concerned that the word would get out to the press, I would have done that.
So it was okay to you to tell people to lie to protect your brother, right?
It wasn't necessarily a lie. I didn't know how he hurt his finger myself at the time, because I'm pretty sure I know the time frame you're talking about is when it first happened.
And you have no personal knowledge to this day of how he hurt his finger, correct? Because you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, redirect.
Wow.
Finally, he ended though,
Okay, thank you.
because he was told you can't answer that. You can't ask that. You can't ask that.
Yeah. He just wanted to rehash the same testimony again.
Good morning, Ms. Dembrowski.
Good morning.
During Mr. Rottenborn's examination yesterday and again this morning,
What a name.
he spent a lot of time talking to you about your
Rottenborn.
brother's alleged drug and alcohol abuse. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You're not denying that Mr. Depp ever used alcohol or drugs, are you? You also testified several times in response to Mr. Rottenborn's questions that Ms. Heard tends to say things in a more dramatic manner. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Why did you say that?
I've had my own interaction
Because Miss Heard's a
one-on-one
liar.
with Miss Heard, so I know a bit about her personality. She would present information to me that was not necessarily information that was supported by everybody else that was around. And I've spent a lot of years
Just
working with my
say
brother.
she
We have a
would
close
lie.
team. We've, it's a many years of trusted people helping, make sure that everything in life, it works out and goes smoothly. But all those people where I would have a daily contact, whether it's about scheduling or just how the day's going for all the years, those people never said the same thing.
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
I think it was responsive to the question.
Well, I'll sustain the last sentence.
Yeah, but
Just
Your Honor,
the last sentence of it, that's all.
understood, Your
Okay.
Honor. I think it goes to state of mind rather than the
Right.
truth.
I just did the last sentence. I'll sustain just the last sentence.
Thank you,
Strike
Honor.
the last sentence, okay?
And do you recall your testimony yesterday when you stated that after the phenomenal success of Pirates One, one of the changes to Mr. Depp's, your brother's personal life, was that there were a lot more people around him after that? Do you recall
Yes.
that?
Yes.
When Johnny and Miss Heard became involved in a relationship several years later, were there still a lot of people around them, your brother, on a regular basis?
Yes.
Who were those people?
He had assistants, he had security, he had, property managers, people that helped at the house. He had quite a few people that were around all the time.
How often did you communicate with those people?
Too often.
I communicated daily, not necessarily with each one of those people, but I communicated pretty much daily with people within the world, the circle.
Did any of those people ever raise the same concerns that Ms. Heard did?
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
Again, it goes to state of mind.
I'll sustain the objection as to hearsay. Next question.
What, if any, concerns were expressed about Johnny's behavior when using alcohol?
Objection hearsay.
All right.
Again, it goes to state of mind.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right. Is this witness subject to recall?
I do not believe so, Your Honor.
She's subject to recall? No.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Dembrowski, you're free to go, or you can stay in the courtroom. It's up to you, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dembrowski.
Not super happy with that redirect. His questions were either
Isaac
leading or
Karuch. All right,
obvious hearsay
We'll get him. Okay, that's
issues.
fine. Thank you.
that could have worked around them, I believe.
So pour out an art bag about more love Freud. Spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear.